Hello, welcome back to Vlogmas. Today, instead of a vlog, I thought we could do a little reading wrap up for 2025. I had a goal to read 5 books this year and I ended up reading 15, and I'm really happy that I was able to fit in some more reading this year. If you're trying to get back into reading or get into reading for the first time, I have a couple tips for you. The first one is to figure out how you consume books the best. I used to be a physical book reader only. I love having a real book in my hand, and I was like, I'm never gonna use an e-reader. And postpartum changed me in that sense. I was reading on my phone on the Libby app sometimes, but this year what I've been doing mostly is listening to audiobooks. And this is the only way I've been able to consume so many, is because I can listen to them while I'm walking, doing dishes, cooking supper. I just don't have enough time to sit down and read physical books anymore, so listening to audiobooks has been really helpful. The second tip I want to say is to read what you actually enjoy. I feel like this year I just didn't put any pressure on myself to read a certain kind of book or books that my friends liked. I just read whatever, and oftentimes that was like something that was available on Libby, and I was just reading random romances and thrillers and seeing what I actually enjoyed. And were they all amazing books? No, a lot of them weren't that good, and I'm not really learning anything from them, but I had fun and I enjoyed that I was able to read a variety of books. I absolutely love the idea of a book club, but when I was in one a few years ago, I feel like I was forcing myself to read these books that didn't actually align with what interested me, and then I was just trying to get through them so that I could fit in and talk to other people about the books. And I'm not saying I'm never gonna do a book club again, but this year was really nice to have no pressure to read a certain book, and I just read whatever. So this is your reminder to read whatever, however you enjoy, because reading should be fun. That's what it's all about. And with that being said, we're gonna do a recap of all the books I read this year. So grab a cozy drink and let's get started. I've got my phone and my Goodreads pulled up. I'm just gonna go in order throughout the year and we'll see what they are. I actually forget what some of these are. My memory is really bad for books, so I'm gonna have to go back in and see what my rating was and see what they are. Number 1 is called Happily Never After by Lynn Painter. I thought this was gonna be a really cute romance book, and I didn't like it that much. I gave it a 2-star. I think I didn't like it that much because I knew exactly what was gonna happen and they just kept dragging it out longer and longer. So it was okay. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Ready or Not by Cara Bastone, I gave 4 stars. It was a pretty cute book. It was about a surprise pregnancy, and I found it interesting how she managed all of that and her relationships with everybody. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a cute little romance. Then I read Expiration Dates by Rebecca Searle, and I gave that 4 stars. This one had a funny concept to it. It was about a woman named Daphne who receives a slip of paper every time she meets a new man who she's going to be involved with, and it's got his name and how long they're gonna be together. So I just found it like a cool idea that she was entering relationships knowing that she was only going to be with them for 3 months, and that would be definitely like playing on your mind and you would be thinking about it all the time. Is it actually going to play out how you think, where she's going to get one that's not going to have a date on it and that's going to be her forever partner, or is she going to be able to like fight the fate of the notes? So I really enjoyed it. It was a cute book. After that, I read If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. This one, I feel like, was devastating, and I need to remember what it was about. Okay, this was a high school romance kind of story, and I liked it. It was sad. It was one of those where she has a boyfriend, but her best guy friend is intertwined in her life, and if he had been with me, things would have been different. I think I made it through this one pretty quickly. It was like a fast-paced story that was interesting, but sad. Wow, I had a big gap in my reading. Okay, so The Paradise Problem, I actually read most of it way back in the spring, and then with like literally 10 minutes left or something, the audiobook returned to the library, and I was so annoyed because I just wanted to find out the ending, and I had to wait until I got it again to find out. Oh no, I didn't rate it. I want to say it was like a 4-star read. It was cute. It was interesting. I'm gonna tell you what it says on Goodreads. Anna Green thought she was marrying Liam Weston for access to subsidized family housing while at UCLA. She also thought she'd signed divorce papers when the graduation caps were tossed, and they both went on their merry ways. 3 years later, she's a starving artist, and he reaches out to her to come to a family wedding. And so she needs to pretend to be his wife, but they've actually been legally married all this time, but they don't really know each other. And he's like a rich family. They own like all of the grocery stores. It was like a fun summer read with a destination wedding kind of vibe for one of his family members. And then after that, I read The Summer I Turned Pretty, book 1, 2, and 3 in a row. I read them pretty quickly. I think these are the only ones that I read the physical book of. And I just flew through them because I loved the show. I was obsessed with the show all summer. And I was like, I want to read the books to know more. I want to get to know these characters more. And did I love the books? I don't know. I feel like it's hard sometimes when you've watched a TV show because you're picturing those people as the characters, and sometimes they just don't seem to align. I found some of the characters a lot different in the book than in the show. And there was a lot of plot lines they changed too. So if you like the show, or if you don't know anything about it, I would definitely recommend it as a cute teen kind of romance. You know, when it's about a girl and two brothers, it's gonna be messy, but that's how it is. I'm realizing that all of these have been romance so far. I didn't read as many thrillers this year as I thought I did. Okay, Never Lie by Frida McFadden. I think it's the first one of her books that I've read, but I've heard good things about her. This was about newlyweds. Trisha and Ethan are searching for the house of their dreams, and they visit a remote manor that once belonged to a psychiatrist named Dr. Adrian Hale. They get stuck there in a snowstorm, and they're like looking through the house. This had some twists and turns, and I liked it. There were some things that I was like, oh, I think I know what this is gonna be. I feel like there were a couple things that didn't quite make sense to me when all the twists were revealed, but I did enjoy it. It was a fast-paced read that I was like, what is gonna happen? This is kind of getting crazy, but I enjoyed it. So if you're looking for an easy thriller to read, Never Lie was a good one. I gave it 4 stars. Okay, next up is Meet Me at the Lake. This is the first Carly Fortune book I've read. I read a little bit of a different one, which I'll talk about soon, but this is the first full book I read. It was about a girl named Fern who has been thinking about Will Baxter for the last 10 years. It was, I liked that the timelines jumped back and forth. We saw what was happening in real time, and then we go back to this fateful day that she met this guy 10 years ago. Some of it was like, is this really realistic? But I mean, it's a romance. It was cute. It worked out in the end. I love that it was set in Canada, and yeah, I liked it. Listen for the Lie. I gave this 4 stars. I thought a lot of weird things about this book. One of them being all of the affairs. I don't think this is a spoiler, but almost every character was having an affair. Like, is that normal? I don't think that's normal. Anyways, book description. What if you thought you murdered your best friend and everyone else thought so too? So Lucy is the main character. Her best friend was Savvy, and she was found the night of her murder with her best friend's blood all over her. And she doesn't know for sure what happened. And now a podcaster is looking into this murder and wants to talk to her and try to figure it out. And she's like, what do I do? So I enjoyed it. It was a cool concept that you were hearing the story, but then also hearing his podcast episodes and hearing him like talk to different characters in the book. I thought it was a really cool way to tell the story. I found the ending of this one a little crazy too, but I think some thrillers are just like that. You're gonna be like, what the heck? I think it was one that was especially good as an audiobook. Okay, next up, Finley Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano. Single mom Finley Donovan is an author, and she has 2 young kids, and her ex-husband and his new partner are around. She goes out to meet with her agent for lunch to talk about her new book, and she's mistaken for a contract killer, and someone tries to hire her to kill someone. What a funny concept. So I really enjoyed it. It was kind of silly, but it was really good and interesting to see how she was going to manage all of it, trying to be a good mom and take care of her kids, but also figure out, am I gonna help kill this guy even though this is not my job? And she writes about things like that. I gave it 4 stars. Next up, another Carly Fortune book called Every Summer After. I think this was actually her first book. I gave it 4 stars. It was about Barry's Bay, where my friend is from, so I was excited to hear about that. It sounded like a really cute little town. This was another one that showed like current time versus life as a teenager. I'm just realizing I think all of the Carly Fortune ones I read are like that. But it's a cute way to tell a story, and you get to learn about the characters and how they've developed and changed. So yeah, another cute little romance with Persephone, they call her Percy, and she meets 2 brothers at her summer cottage and falls in love, and how that affects her as an adult. And then I read Finley Donovan Knocks Him Dead. I decided to read book 2, which, I don't know, I gave it 3 stars. I feel like it's not gonna be as good as the first one, of course, but I still like the characters. I thought it was kind of funny. It was just getting more and more complicated, of course, but I think they left it at another cliffhanger for book number 3, so I need to think about whether or not I'm gonna read that one next. And then my last finished book this year is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune, which I also gave 4 stars. This one is about PEI. So I read most of this book last year because I was going to PEI and I was so excited to read it, and then I did not finish it, unfortunately. So because it had been a whole year, I decided to just start it from the top and get myself back into it. I really liked it. I've been going to PEI since I was a little kid, and I think this book really captured the essence of it. It made me want to go visit, and not just in the summer. It was nice to hear how she went at different times of the year and like found it so cozy. And I liked hearing how the book wrapped up because it was a really cute story. I realized that I didn't give out any 5-star reviews this year, and I think that's because I have a hard time. I feel like I give them all 4 if I like them, because I'm like, there's probably something better that I haven't read. But I don't know, it's hard to decide. Now for other books, there was one that I tried that I did not finish, which is rare for me, because once I get myself into a story, I'm like, I want to find out what happens, even if I have a hard time getting through it, even if it takes me a while. So this one was called Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, and I would not recommend it. I kept pushing through because I was like, it's kind of interesting, maybe it's gonna get better, and it just kept getting more and more dark. I think it was about human trafficking and also the terrible things that happen to women, and there was a lot of torture porn in it. After the first time they talked about it, I was like, okay, I'll keep going. And then there was more and more and more, and just like the devastation of a dad who's lost his daughter. And I was like, I don't need to be reading about this. I can read about something nicer right now than this. I don't care at this point. And then I looked up the ending because I thought, you know what? I still want to know what happens. I'm not going to suffer through the rest of this book because this is ridiculous. So I don't know much about this author, and if she has other good books, if you know any, you can tell me. It was just one that was available on Libby that it has 4 stars on Goodreads, so I thought it might be fine. I did not enjoy it. And then, okay, fantasy. I feel like this is going against what I said at the start, because friends have been trying to get me to read A Court of Thorns and Roses for years. And I got one for Christmas last year. I got the first one. And I read a little bit and I couldn't get into it. And then I got the audiobook, listened to 5 chapters on Libby, and I was like, okay, I think I get it. I'm in the world now. I understand what's happening. And I went on a reading retreat and I read some more of the physical book and loved it. Have I read any since then? No. I wish. I want to know this story, and I truly do. But I think, like I said, I need to come to terms with the fact that I need to get it on audiobook. That's what it is. I could read a couple pages at night before I go to bed, but because it's a fantasy, I think it takes me a little bit longer to get into the universe, and it's hard to just pick up and read a page or two at a time with that kind of book for me. So I am partway through A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I want to keep reading it. I just need to get the audiobook again. And in that same realm, I started Fourth Wing. I am almost done. I was listening to the audiobook. If you watched Vlogmas earlier, you know I'm almost done. And the audiobook had to go back to the library. So I have the physical book from my friend, and I found my spot in the book last night, and there's only like this much left. So because I'm so close on that one, I'm really gonna try and see if I can get through the physical book. But that would be my goal before the end of the year, is to finish at least one or maybe both of those books, because I am enjoying them. They're a little bit harder to get into, but I think I do like them, and I want to find out what happens. So that is my reading wrap up of 15 books I read, 1 book I didn't finish, and 2 books I am currently reading. I think that's everything, other than all of the books that I read with Arthur this year, which is hundreds. Thank you so much for joining me for a little book wrap up. Please let me know if you have a favorite book that you read this year, and if you would recommend I try it based on what I like. I think it's kind of the fun thing about reading is that everybody is so different. Like Aiden read a couple books this year. I should get him to do a little wrap up for you. And they were like World War II intense books. It's interesting, but this is not what I would choose to read. But I'm so glad that he enjoyed it, and he read this whole book, and it was really long. So it's fun to find the things that you really enjoy reading, and I find it fun to talk with friends about books even if you have different interests. So maybe that's the kind of book club we should be doing in 2026. Like, choose your own book and read it by a certain date, and then come and talk about it, and then you can trade a book with a friend if they're interested in it. Wow, why have I never thought of this before? Is this a thing? I feel like the only book clubs I know is everybody reading the same book. Maybe we should try this. I like it. That's my idea. Also, more reading getaways. I did that with a couple friends, and it was so nice. We went away for the night and read the whole time. We chatted a little bit, of course, and snacked and relaxed, but mostly read, and it was so relaxing. So I want to try to do one of those in 2026. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.